was forced not only to hand over a huge chunk of my assets to my ex, but to pay him alimony, too. Maintenance, they call it in New York State. Whatever. We're talking about me having to write checks to the guy every month for 8 years. I was a good and generous person who gave to numerous charities and never cheated anybody out of anything. But this, well, I balked, to put it mildly. Maybe you're thinking that if we're the big achievers now, we should stop whining and just fork over the cash in the divorce. But here's the thing. When it's your turn, you won't want to fork over the cash any more than men did when they were hogging the power seat. Did I go to extremes in my effort to wriggle out of my legal obligation to my ex? Sure. Do I regret what I did to him? Deeply. But I was caught up in that nutty fantasy about men, that even as we're out there conquering the world, they're supposed to be the strong ones, capable of rescuing us, or, at the very least, providing for us. It's all so confusing, isn't it? Well, maybe this little story of mine will help sort things out. Or maybe it'll simply confirm that equality, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholden. "Sign here," said my divorce attorney, Robin Baylor, a 40-something black woman with impeccable credentials, Harvard for her undergraduate degree, Yale for law school, Louis Licari for the auburn highlights that were expertly woven through her short, spiky hair. The two of us were sitting in her elegantly appointed wood-paneled conference room at a table the length of a city block. She had just passed me the gazillionth document pertaining to Melanie Banks, me, versus Dan Swain, my ex. "It's the last one," she announced. "Promise?" I said, with pleading eyes as I glanced at the huge file she had on Dan and me. So much paper. Such a waste of trees. "Trust me, yours wasn't as complicated as some," she said, and she wasn't kidding. She'd handled my friend Karen's divorce, which became a truly unsavory affair after it was revealed that Karen's ex was not only an insider trader with the SEC breathing down his neck, but also a bigamist with 2 families on opposite coasts. "You've waited out the year of legal separation, and now you're just signing the conversion documents. Once those are filed, you're divorced. Case closed." "Closed?" I said. "I wish. Thanks to this settlement, I'm tied to Dan for 7 more years. Having to pay him while we were separated was no picnic, but having to write him checks for the next... Well, the whole thing makes me sick." "We had no choice. If we'd gone to trial, the judge could have awarded him more, given the disparity in your incomes and the duration of the marriage. I explained that to you." "I know," I nodded dejectedly at Robin, who, despite having a conference room that reminded me of one of those men-only grill rooms at country clubs and practically cried out for cigars to be passed out and smoked, wasn't a shark. She was compassionate as well as conscientious. She baked little sweets and brought them to the office for her clients, if you can believe that. How women with demanding careers found the time, not to mention the motivation, to actually turn on their ovens was a mystery to me, not being a multitasker myself. But at that very moment, there was a plate full of homemade cookies on the table, chocolate chip and oatmeal raisin, and over the course of our meeting, I scarfed down several of each. And I didn't even like raisins. But like had nothing to do with it. I'd gained 15 pounds since Dan and I split up, and while I wasn't a tub of guts by anyone's standards, I'd discovered that eating, along with plotting his death, had become enormously satisfying. "I'm not blaming you at all, Robin," I added between bites. "It's the situation I can't stomach." I avoided looking down at mine. I was sure that 14 of those 15 pounds had settled there. "Whether it makes you sick or not, he's entitled to the spousal support," she said. "This is the new millennium, Melanie. Things have changed. It's not a symbol of weakness anymore for men to take money from women if they need it to maintain their